Grand Moff was one of the most prestigious ranks of the Galactic Empire. But did you know that over 30 individuals held the title in either canon or Legends material? Well, in this video we'll be listing off every single Grand Moff in the Empire, starting with the canon. A lot of these characters don't have pictures to go with them, so if that's the case, I'm just going to show you their source material instead. There's no other way to start this list but with Grand Moff Wilhuff Tarkin. He began his military service in the Clone Wars as a captain of the Republic. After the creation of the Empire, he was named Governor of the Outer Rim, and he oversaw the construction of the Death Star. After he ruthlessly dealt with a rebel cell and an Imperial defector, the title of Grand Moff was created just so he could be promoted to it. Tarkin was of course killed aboard the Death Star shortly after he used the weapon to destroy Alderaan as an example of the Empire's might. Grand Moff Rand controlled the exterior in the Outer Rim, which remained the only true Imperial territory in that area after the Battle of Endor. As one of the highest-ranking Imperials left, he became part of Fleet Admiral Rax's Shadow Council. He was responsible for many of the Empire's tactics at the Battle of Jakku, and although he lost, he did survive the fight. Grand Moff Valko Pandion was a slaver that promoted himself to the rank after the Battle of Endor. He was part of the Imperial Future Council on Akiva, but was killed by Rey Sloane in the chaos of a New Republic attack. And that's it for canon. Only 3 Grand Moffs, which I prefer. It makes the rank seem much more significant and imposing, especially considering some of the absolutely bonkers legend stories I'm about to tell you. I'm going to start with Grand Moff Thurbin. He's interesting because he was only briefly mentioned in 2 Legends books, but his character was canonized in the book Tarkin. However, in the canon book, he's only at the rank of Moff, and there's no mention of a promotion anywhere else. Grand Moff Artus Cain was put in charge of the Outer Rim after the death of Tarkin. After the Battle of Endor, he started a splinter of the Empire known as the Pentastar Alignment that was eventually reabsorbed into the Imperial Remnant. Cain joined the clone of Emperor Palpatine during his campaign against the New Republic, during which he was killed. Grand Moff Tracta was a cyborg that led a conspiracy to kill Palpatine and Darth Vader. He received his injuries from a rogue Jedi during the Clone Wars, which caused him to distrust Force users. His assassination attempts were meant to remove the Sith Lords, but he was betrayed and murdered by his peers. Grand Moff Bartum was in on Tracta's conspiracy, and he was killed for his involvement. Grand Moff Koi governed the Palace Oversector, and he was killed by his second officer, who was also a part of Tracta's plan. Grand Moff 48C was an IG assassin droid like IG-88, except it was also a Grand Moff. The droid attempted to create an Imperial computer virus that could override every computer in the galaxy, but his plan was stopped and he was deactivated. Now that's weird, but it's definitely not the weirdest. Grand Moff Ravik found himself transported to a strange dimension known as Other Space after a bad jump to hyperspace. There he was poisoned and transformed into this monster. He returned in his new form to attack the rebels, who promptly killed him. Grand Moff Flurry Voru was in charge of the Corellian Oversector until he was framed for criminal activity by the Black Sun. He was sent to the spice mines of Kessel until he was liberated by Rogue Squadron shortly after the destruction of the second Death Star. He was meant to assist the New Republic, but he remained loyal to the Empire. He was eventually recaptured and sent back to the spice mines. Grand Moff Naomi Dargan was Voru's replacement in the Corellian Oversector during his initial imprisonment. Grand Moff Kintaro was one of the first Grand Moffs of the Galactic Empire. He allowed criminal activity to continue in his sector, which, unbeknownst to him, was actually a disguised rebel cell. When Palpatine learned of the rebel operations taking place in Kintaro's sector, he had him executed. Grand Moff Taniel was another of the very first Grand Moffs in Legends. Grand Moff Therol Tavira suffered a stroke that paralyzed him. He was also allergic to Bacta and was unable to be cured, so he killed himself. It was theorized that his successor and former lover had somehow engineered his stroke. Grand Moff Bertroff Hissa is the only non-human on this list. He started the Central Committee of Moffs, who attempted to overthrow Isan Isard as the head of the Empire after the Battle of Endor, but was killed by another contender for the throne. Grand Moff Rufon Tigalinus was a Grand Admiral and Grand Moff that attempted to join Hissa's committee, but Hissa had him killed instead. Grand Moff Treda was simply known as a rival to Tiganellis. Grand Moff Dunhausen was a part of Hissa's Central Committee of Grand Moffs. Grand Moff Muzzer was another member. And so was Grand Moff Thistleborn, who wins the award for dumbest name so far. Grand Moff Nigel Nivers became a warlord after the Battle of Endor, but was arrested by the New Republic shortly after. Grand Moff Zinj also pronounced himself a warlord after the Emperor's death, but had much more success. He was killed 4 years later over Dathomir. Grand Moff Cole Seardon was killed engaging Luke Skywalker about 1 year after the Battle of Yavin on Typhera. Grand Moff Lynch Hauser was in charge of the Dustigover sector. Grand Moff Argon was mentioned in the Tales from Mos Eisley Cantina story about the Tonica sisters, who had conned him out of 25,000 credits. Grand Moff Torith was killed when a group of rebels stole the D-Wing starfighter from a spacecraft show. According to West End Games, Grand Moff Nox Vellum was the governor in charge of the Yavin system, and he lost much of his command after the destruction of the first Death Star. The next 3 Grand Moffs are all mentioned in the Essential Guide to Warfare. Grand Moff Bailir was responsible for the protection of the Trans-Nebula Oversector, where he commanded the 13th Sector Army. Grand Moff Renau was charged with the command of the 11th Sector Army in the Gordian Reach Oversector. Almost nothing is known about Grand Moff Ambrys Sellet, except for that he was put under house arrest by an Imperial High Admiral after the Battle of Endor. Grand Moff Wilkadon was mentioned as being hunted by Wraith Squadron in the book Tatooine Ghost. Grand Moff Durea was mentioned during the Black Fleet Crisis, and he ruthlessly attacked the planet Gra Plovin, killing 200,000 of its natives. Grand Moff Sinzero Gan controlled a sector in the Deep Core, also during the Black Fleet Crisis. Grand Moff Weblin was another name thrown around during the Black Fleet Crisis. Grand Moff Torben is just a name mentioned in a French magazine with a Star Wars role-playing article in it. And finally, Grand Moff Lauder is so obscure I can't even find a picture of his source material, but he was responsible for the genocide of the people of Vald, and he was never brought to justice. And that's every Grand Moff in the Galactic Empire, both in canon and legends. If you liked this video, you might enjoy this one I did on every Grand Admiral, or some of the other comprehensive lists I've done. If you have a comprehensive video like this that you'd like to see, leave that in the comments. And if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, share this video, and check out my Patreon page. As always, thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you.